Hello, I'm Simon Taylor. I've been a stand-up comedian for over 10 years. Don't worry, I've never heard of me either. Today, I will be breaking down stand-up comedy in films and television. Funny people.
I went to a place recently, I'm convinced it's the most fucked up, crazy place.
That's a real club in Hermosa Beach in California.
It's a little place called Cowstone Creamery. Now, the thing at Cowstone is...
I can't believe this is what people like.
Comedians like different comedy to the general population. There's a term called broad. If you're a broad comedian, if you have broad appeal, it means that you do comedy that a large amount of people will like, but may not be deemed cool or interesting or innovative. But then, of course, there's people who do that stuff who don't make any money. So it's a trade-off sometimes.
Sizes are like it, love it, and gotta have it! What kind of crackhead terminology is that? What size you want, man? I don't know, man. I just gotta have it. Put some ice cream in a cup with some sprinkles. Put your dick in a Butterfinger and fuck it for me, please. Put it in the cup. I need it. I'm tweaking. 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 I'm tweaking.
So what he's doing here is something I call spinning the plate. He's got that initial laugh and he wants to keep the laughter going, so he's trying to keep the momentum up, like spinning a plate. So he's not adding new ideas to the joke or more punchlines or tags. He's just repeating the punchline and doing repetitive motions to keep the audience in that state of laughter. This is also an exaggerated, kind of satirical look at a stand-up who does this, but the technique is legit and lots of comics use it.
Because 1 minute they were talking, and then they got into it, and the guy was like, "Nail on, get on, why no?" Say like, "Bang, get on, they fiddle on, get on, get on, better on, why would get on the man all day? Bang, little on me, how little on me, little on the gun all day."
I hate it when I get a takeaway tea and they put that lid on it. All I've got is that little peephole to work with.
Hey, did he just tell you you're going on next?
Yeah, I'm on next.
Okay, well, I'm on after you, and if you go long, this is going to die in my pocket. Okay, that wasn't a joke. I'm not a comic. Okay, when you get the light, that means 1 minute.
Okay.
So the light he's referring to is a light usually at the back of the room or sometimes in the lighting rig that flashes when you have to wrap up, essentially. Comedians will know this term. They usually ask for the light at a certain time. So if you're doing 10 minutes, you may say to the technician, "Hey, light me at 8 or light me at 5.
The other night, I heard my balls and my dick talking, and my balls were like, "Are you okay? Is he hurting you?" And my dick's like, "You don't know him like I do. He's a great guy. He loves me."
He's using a literary technique there called anthropomorphizing, but he's talking about his balls. So it is art and smart. Beautiful.
Hey.
George Simmons just showed up. He wants to go on. So you are bumped.
Okay. How long does he do?
How the fuck should I know?
So getting bumped can happen when a big comedian, celebrity turns up and wants to do some stage time. They'll cut ahead of whoever's on and do as long as they like. The clubs love it because they get to brag about having this celebrity come to their venue. This happened to me a bunch of times, but in LA one time, this big famous comedian turned up and did like an hour and 20 minutes. And I didn't get on that night.
What do you do at home? Just sit fucking antsy all day long? When are we gonna get to that amusement place? Amuse me. You should be thanking me for those movies. Oh, finally a movie. Let's watch it together. That's the beauty of movies, by the way. You go in there and you don't have to talk to each other, and it's fun. You can stare at the screen, and maybe we don't hate each other because we both like this movie.
So what he's doing here is called riffing, essentially just making it up as he goes along. A lot of people think this is what comedians all do all the time. That's not true. Usually you have an idea, you write a joke for it, or you at least have an idea of a joke in mind, trial it in front of a small crowd, and then eventually rehearse it so much in front of crowds that it becomes reliable.
Oh boy, it's quiet in here.
The beautiful thing about stand-up comedy is it doesn't matter how famous you are. If you're not funny, the audience will let you know. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
So this morning, I witnessed the aftermath of my parents' sex night. I caught them pulling the twin beds back apart. You know, I heard that scraping noise in the middle of the night when I was a kid, and I was scared to death that it was a ghost. So, thanks for the memories, Mom and Dad. I always thought it was a ghost, but now I know it was something much scarier. My parents' sex life. Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad. But now I know it was something much scarier than a ghost. It was my parents' sex life. You know, for years I'd embarrass myself at Halloween because the other kids would be making ghost noises like, ooh, ooh, and I'd be going, ah, ah.
So this is how many comedians do it. You have an idea or a premise, and you get on stage and you try a punchline. If it doesn't go well, you try a different one next time until you find the one that really gets that big laugh, and then you move on to the next joke and try to do that for a series of jokes until you have a routine. Oh, and just quickly, you have a joke, which is a setup and punchline. Then if you have a series of jokes about the same topic, you've got a routine. And then if you've got a collection of routines, that is your set.
You have a tight 10. I mean, you are a woman with a tight 10. I'm getting cheesecake.
So a tight 10 is just a set that reliably goes for 10 minutes. You could have a tight 5, a tight 15. Bookers may say to you, hey, do a tight 10 because other comedians might need to head off somewhere else. They don't want to delay for some other reason. They don't want you to go over. They don't want you to go too short. Maybe another comedian isn't back. So you just say a tight 10 to encompass all of that. The Big Sick.
Where are you guys from?
We're from North Carolina.
Ooh, North Carolina. Tar Heel State, home of Krispy Kreme donuts. What brings you to Chicago?
Our daughter's in a coma.
Yeah, where are you from?
It's pretty painful to watch. I think a lot of comedians have had a similar experience. Sometimes you hear a phone go off and you're like, hey, who hasn't turned the phone off? And the audience yells, it's my medication or something like that. If you're not prepared and it catches you off guard, it's really awkward and you don't know where to steer from there. Usually you just go, cool, anyway, and do what he did and move on as quickly as possible, because if you can find something else to distract everyone, then they'll forget that little moment. If you keep digging, trying to get yourself out of it, you'll probably make it worse. Crashing.
Here he is.
Hey, Albany, how you doing tonight? Let's give it up for ourselves for coming out. Can we get this on, please? Can we get the mic? There we go. Hey, all right.
So the job of the MC is to get everyone's attention. Usually it helps if there's some kind of music that fades out or the lights go down, anything to help the audience know the show's starting. Another misconception that a lot of people have is that the MC is a different job to comedian, but usually in a comedy club, the MC is a comedian. That night, they're just doing the MC job.
I'm not racist, but do you think at the very first meeting of the KKK, anyone there pushed for the correct spelling of clam?
So this is a pretty typical American-style comedy club. You have tables and waitstaff bringing drinks to people. You don't really get that in, say, Australia or Europe that much. In Australia, you have intervals. So you have a break for 10 minutes where people can go get a drink and bring it back to their tables. This is very American for the comedian to have to deal with the sounds and the movement of waitstaff.
What is going on?
Nobody showed up.
Nobody?
There was a guy here earlier, but he saw what was happening and he left.
So what? Did we just cancel everything? No show?
Well, he's got a really funny new bit that he's working out right now.
Yeah, I've barked for 4 hours. Can I have this?
New York is really tough to start stand-up comedy. This is super accurate. Sometimes you have to pay to do an open mic gig, and it's just other open micers sitting there wanting to get up themselves, and they're not paying attention. They're working on their set, they're on their phones. You have to buy a drink at the venue because the venue's not making any money unless the comedians buy a drink. So you could go pay $5 to do an open mic like this and spend $7 on a drink. You've paid $12 to perform to other wannabe comedians who are not interested, And you just do that until eventually you build up a network of comedians who think you're funny, and they give you better shows, some that you don't have to pay for, and then some that maybe one day you could be paid for. Also, I've had this experience before where the person running the room didn't even show up, so the comedians just hung outside and told each other jokes. It can at least create a bit of camaraderie. So comedians at least, you know, are willing to suffer together. Hey, thanks for watching. If you'd like me to break down any other stand-up from TV or films, comment below.